3 years have passed since the Taliban took control of Afghanistan. Since then, the country has faced neglected basic services and a crackdown on women's rights. Our next guest, Nilofar Ayoubi, knows this better than most. Out of fear for her life, she dressed as a boy for the majority of her childhood so she could go to school. And after building her profile as a humanitarian leader, she had to escape when the Taliban took power again in 2021, arriving here in Poland. And Nilofar Ayoubi joins me now in the studio. Good evening.
Good evening.
Nilofar, can I start with a comment you made when the Taliban took over 3 years ago in Afghanistan on social media, and I quote, "I am waiting for my death." What was that like?
Well, that's a tough question, but that's the feeling that I get every day thinking about women in Afghanistan, because I live in every single one of them, including my family back home who are stuck and under Taliban surveillance 24/7. I very clearly remember that with a blink of an eye, the whole world shattered for us, especially for me, because I was one of the very naive one that I thought it's never gonna happen. We will never ever experience Taliban and we will never ever give up. However, I wasn't aware of the politics and the policies of the world, and I couldn't. It didn't make sense for me that the world would betray us like this.
What you experienced during your time in Afghanistan, what your family is experiencing, and what those women back in Afghanistan right now are experiencing. I mean, what does that reality look like for those that don't know?
Well, I'm sure you have heard this gender apartheid word quite a few times in these 3 years, but this is the reality that Afghan women are living in Afghanistan. It's a complete blackout for women. There's no oxygen, no air, no light, nothing for women. If you are a woman, you are not different from a furniture in a corner of a home. And you're there to serve the male society and to produce and reproduce, and that's all. And you have to follow those rules. And as a woman, if you don't have a male in the family, then you're doomed, because you cannot even go out to provide food for yourself and for your children. This is the reality right now.
How is it possible that this is the case still in a country in the 21st century?
Well, thanks to the world, because they went and sat on the negotiation table with the Taliban. They did not listen to the women of Afghanistan. They did not include us in the peace talks, or didn't even consult us properly in the process of peace talks. They only allowed 6 women, and those 6 women were also the sacrificial lambs. And until today, they're to be blamed that, oh, you were part of the 200 plus men delegation, and why didn't you make a change? Of course, 6 women against 200 men from this side and a couple of hundred from the Taliban side. It's always a lose-lose for women of Afghanistan. And today, when I'm sitting here with you and talking to you about the situation back home in country, my nieces are suffering, my cousin sisters are suffering, my family is suffering, and 20 million women are suffering back home.
How hard is that, being away from your family, and you're here in Poland, but they're not, and like you say, they're suffering under this regime?
Well, imagine you are born in a culture, in a country that you have never been away from the family. You have always been surrounded with that family. You have always had that support of the family. And now suddenly, since 3 years, I'm on my own. My children hasn't been able to, be near to the grandparents, to meet their aunts, their cousins. It's like suddenly we are orphans, even though I have a family living there, but I'm living as an orphan here, and my children are like orphan in this country. Of course, I'm not ungrateful. We have great Polish friends and support here, but family is family. And this is the situation for many, many other women in exile.
It's now been 3 years since the Taliban returned to power. You mentioned the global response. Do you feel like the international community has been turning a blind eye?
Well, I I'm sure that they are turning a blind eye, because from the moment we arrived, we managed to, to survive and be saved in countries. We started advocating. You see us on each and every platform sacrificing our opportunities. For example, you saw Manija in the Olympics, that she sacrificed her whole career just to send a message to the international community that free Afghan women, but in response she was disqualified from the Olympics. So this is the response from the international community. While Taliban issued the Sharia law, at the same time Germany sent some ultimatum to the embassy, Afghan embassies in Germany, said we have to close you down, and then we will have the consulate, to continue the work, because of course the consulate has to work with the Taliban. So this is a kind of slowly we are being erased from inside and outside, and this is what has outraged us, that our allies have betrayed us.
And allies have said we're outraged too, but you've previously used the line, peace requires action. So what type of action do you think would genuinely make a difference?
Well, we want the international community to take Taliban to the ICC, ICJ, to international criminal courts, not invite them to Geneva and to the events and, throw a red carpet for us. That red carpet is for Afghan women, not for the ones who are suppressing and oppressing them, right? But what we are seeing here is that Taliban is way faster than the international community. They codified the Sharia law while the international community is still contemplating on whether we should, codify the term gender apartheid or not, whether we should listen to the Afghan women or not. So we need actions. We are done with this statement. We are done with the outrageous, tweets. The tweets doesn't save women in Afghanistan. If it would have, I have tweeted 1,000,000 times. Do you see any difference in the lives of women in Afghanistan? No. We want action.
On the use of gender apartheid, why is it so important that that term is formally recognised as a crime against humanity?
See, if we go under term gender apartheid, we can bring the Taliban leader, because he is issuing the edicts, condemning 20 million women. But if we go under gender persecution, here's the trick, that under gender persecution we cannot go, after the big sharks. We have to go and waste our time for the smaller, lower ranked people. Of course they are to be blamed, but the main culprit here is Mullah Haibatullah, the leader who's issuing these edicts, the leader who all these Taliban follow and listen to. So he is the one we want to bring in the International Criminal Court of Justice, not just some, clerks or random person in the system. This is not what we want. We want justice, and we want the leaders to come in this court and to be judged.
Human rights activist Nilofar Ayoubi, thank you so much for your time. All the best to you and to your family.
Thank you so much.
And that's World News tonight. Do stay with us here on TVP World. I'm Aaron Darman. Good night.